Thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to be looking at the probability analysis tool and how you can use it to analyze your strategies before executing your buys and sells. Last time we talked about the ad simulated trades. We talked about the risk profile. So you can check out our last videos just to get a little bit more insight on those two tabs there. So without further ado, here to open up a probability analysis strategy, just go to the trade tab here. When you click on that, you open up a trade. So you can either do stocks. If you want to buy shares, you can open up an order to analyze the share strategy that you're trying to employ. But in this case, we'll stick to options. So we're going to go with a long call. We'll go with the $200 strike price here. We open up an entry and we'll go ahead and right click on it and just say analyze trade. You can also access this tab by, once you put in your entry, you just tab over to analyze and then you click on probability analysis and it'll show you, it'll display the probability analysis graph and everything like that. So the y-axis is going to have your price action. The x-axis is going to have the number of days out into the future, or expiration dates. As you see these vertical lines here, you're going to have expiration dates that show up on the pricing model. And below the graph itself, you will have the different expiration dates that will appear on the pricing model and the probabilities that will be associated with the price of the stock being above a certain price. In this case, it shows us as 135.91. So these will be the probabilities associated with the prices being above this particular point on these respective dates here as you go further out in time. So same thing with this price range here. It shows you the respective probabilities associated with his date ranges as you go further out in time. Below that, you will have the price slices. So the price slices, we talked about these a little bit more in detail under the simulated trades, I think, and the risk profile. But just to do a quick recap, these are price points within your pricing model. So you have the middle price point, which is the current price, and then you will have the 10% above the current price point, and then same thing, 10% below the current price. You will see the open padlocks here. That basically means these price points are floating according to the market price tags. So as the numbers are changing throughout market open, market close, these numbers will definitely fluctuate with the market. If you wanted to keep them static, you just basically click on them and it will lock in that price. Under the price slices, you will have your positions and simulated trades. It shows you what you are trying to analyze, and it will show you we have Meta selected here. Expiration date 2024. We have a limit price there of 720 and some of the details that are associated with our entry. Now, if you wanted to look at the probability of Meta being above, let's say 124 by January 19th, we can simply scroll on this graph here to look at that price point. So we just scroll to the left here, let's say January 19th. Okay, January 19th, so we're in February. Okay, all right, so around January 17th, 18th, 19th, right there. So the probability of Meta being above $124, let's say $124.50. Okay, so the probability of Meta being above $124.56 would be 44.68%, and the probability of it being under this price point at that particular date is 55.32%. This is not a determination of what is going to happen in the future. These are just probabilities. So probabilities are not certainties. This is not definitively saying that Meta is going to be above $124.50 by January 19th. It just basically says the probability of it being above that price point is such and such. You can assess different price points, different date ranges, depending on whatever stock you're looking at. You can also manually change these price slices. So you can say 136, hit enter. The price slice will change there. You can change this price slice to 110, hit enter. It'll give you that different price slice. So these price slices can be adjusted according to your respective analysis strategy. The other way you can look at the probability in the money or out of the money, in this case, you can see that on the trade tab here. So when you look at some of these columns, you can adjust them to show different data sets. So in this case, we'll say we want to look at probability in the money, okay? And then we want to look at probability out of the money, okay? That way we don't have to go to the probability analysis tool. You can look at that data as well from the trade tab. So we were looking at the $200 strike price. So you can see that probability of being in the money for this particular strategy would be 11.37%. And of course, probability out of the money will be 88.63%. Okay, so this is just how you analyze your strategies and better assess your risk before taking a position. So these columns can essentially be adjusted to show whatever data points you want to look at before even going to the analysis sub-tab to further analyze your strategy. The next tab we're going to be looking at here is the economic data tab. Now, this data tab is very, very important because it has different data sets for you. It's got market data, economic data, all across the board. It's got banking information, it's got prices, commodities, the consumer price indices, information on cryptocurrencies, the population, employment, and labor markets. You have the academic data, you have production and business activity. So clicking on any one of these data sets will basically give you access to a huge database of economic data. Click on, let's say, banking. I'll just click on banking, say commercial banking. Alrighty, all commercial banks. Let's see, bank credit. Let's see, shows us anything. It doesn't. Okay, perfect. Populates that data for you. So the Thinkback sub-tab is a tab that allows you to go back in time to analyze a particular strategy to see how it would have behaved if at all you took a position in any stock at that particular time, and how time has affected the profit losses for that particular strategy, if that makes sense. So the way that you use this tab is you essentially search for whatever stock. So in this case, we're looking at Meta, so we'll keep it at Meta. And top right corner here, see company profile, and then you're gonna have the calendar right here, the date. So you want to go back in time to whatever date you want to look at and see how the stock might have behaved at that particular date. So it shows you the prices of the stock at that particular date, the option prices, the deltas, or the Greeks of the respective options. So it's very important to essentially go back and see how would this strategy have turned out if I purchased this option or purchased this stock at this particular date. That's one important way of using it. So we'll look at, let's say, November 4th. Okay, November 4th, we'll go back to, I'm going to minimize some of these tabs here. So we'll go to the option chain here. We want to analyze the January 19th, 2024, and want to see all of them here. So we'll scroll down a little bit. We'll go to the $200 strike price that we're trying to see here. So we can see that the bid and the ask was, the bid was $1.82, the ask was $1.92. So once we click on that, we create an entry, and it shows us the price point that it would have been on the 4th of November, which was sometime last month. So to analyze how your profit and losses would look like, if you look at the profit loss at open, you see at open, of course, we did not make any amount of money there. But if you had entered into this position on the 4th of November, you can adjust the date here. So this is the date that you would adjust. Click on the calendar and then just jump to any specific date, or you can just click the up and down arrow to adjust the date accordingly. So the start point would be that 4th of November. So let's go ahead and click just one day above that day. So we see that the profit loss at open is still 0. Let's go up a few days. All right. So on the 7th, we see that the profit essentially just jumped to 545. So you can see how having had a position in this option chain here would have given you a return of 547. So if you keep going out on the dates here and then see how the option strategy would have worked out for you, if you had 10 contracts, of course, I mean, it essentially defaults to 10 contracts. So 10 contracts at $1.87. By November 10th, you would essentially be looking at that profit right there. So let's keep on going in date, or let's go ahead and just click on the calendar and say, all right, what would we be looking at? December 2nd, we'd be looking at that profit right there with 10 contracts. Now, if you only had one contract, you can adjust this. It essentially shows you the profit for you accordingly. So Whenever we selected the option chain, I think the default was 10 contracts as opposed to 1. So you can essentially change that out or adjust that and reconsider your strategy. But that's how you use your Thinkback tool. You can use this for any different option strategies, spreads, iron condors, basic option strategies here, or just regular shares. So that's pretty much it about the Thinkback tool. Very important in terms of analyzing a particular strategy in cases of what if, okay? Because you can even see how the time affects delta, theta, vega in some of your other Greeks as well. So the next tab we're going to be looking at is the fundamentals tab. The fundamentals tab is essentially a tab that shows you fundamental information about a stock. We're going to stick to Meta. You type in Meta, hit enter. It shows you the fundamentals of Meta. It shows you the analyst ratings. It shows you the current price, the bid and ask. It shows you the graphical representation between the two date ranges. It has the company profile, which describes as to what the company does, how they conduct their business. And then of course you have the numbers, or you have the fundamentals themselves. You have the share value, you have the profitability, activity ratios, you have the financial ratios. You can look at that data at an annual glance, or you can look at a quarterly glance of things. This fundamentals subtab gives a nice at a glance view of any stock that you want to analyze. That way you don't have to go to different avenues to find different data sets. Everything is basically available for you in here. You also have the valuations, the revenues, net income. You scroll further down here, you have the valuation highlights, what has changed with the particular company itself, the potential upsides, downsides. You have the business summary, key trends. So you have a lot of information that will be available for you on the fundamentals tab. Basically on one tab, at a glance, different data sets. This is a win for me. This is a win. I love this. Anytime I look at a new company, new stock, I just come here, type it in, and I'll have most of the fundamentals of that particular stock available for me at a glance. All right. Further down, you can basically see what drives the stock, essentially how they make their money, what makes them profitable. You can look at this by percentage of income, or you can look at the estimated value. So that's about $414 billion. And then of course you have payments and fees, net cash, they have about 42 billion. This is pretty much it for today. If you found any of this information beneficial, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and of course be on the lookout for any of our future videos. We'll be sure to give you more tips and tricks on how to use ThinkOrSwim and other trading platforms as well. Thank you.